Hello everyone, it's Zealous here, and today I wanted to bring my version of Herald Device Mace Strike Warbringer. Now, for those of you who have never heard of this build before, if you're looking for a build which can one-shot everything, including the pinnacle boss T4, this is not the build for you. This build is not, it's like C tier, max. And but the reason why a lot of people are interested in this build, well, I'm interested in this build, is because of the clear, and generally it's a fun build to play. And I've seen a lot of content creators have created this particular build, namely Ghosted, Leo's Board, Carnarius, and Chad GPT. I'm gonna put all their links in the description. And there are also, this build can't do delirium. There are some creators who made this build which will tell you that it can, but respectfully, in my opinion, it cannot. It cannot do it in such a way that you'll enjoy your gameplay. So you will be. I was frustrated when I was playing this build with deliriums in maps, and so I don't do delirium with this particular build. Now, how is this different to all the other versions that I've seen? Well, all the other versions that I've seen actually uses leap slam. They use leap slam in order to create. It's their main attack skill, leap slam. Okay, but the problem with this particular skill for me is that it's very slow. Okay, and so you see the speed is 1, 2. Whereas if I want to use Mace Strike, it's 1, 2. It's much faster, it's much smoother. And so the objective for me for this particular build was, how fast can I make this build go? And in order for me to invest into speed, I had to give up on the currently one of the metas for shield is using Nebulock and shield charge to kill pinnacle bosses. So I didn't want to do that because I wanted to have a seamless, fast, minimum combos as possible. I know it's not part of the vision, but this was my goal. This was my objective. I actually know quite a few people who don't like Leap Slam because of this wind up. Every time you attack, you have to 1, 2. It's very slow. Whereas when I Mace Strike, it's 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2. Later, I'll talk about weapon swap. 1, 2. Okay, it's much faster than Leap Slam. Having said that, Leap Slam does twice the amount of damage. So if you look at Mace Strike, my Mace Strike is 28. It does 461%, whereas Leap Slam does 800. It's double the damage. But I would say it's almost twice as it's because it's slower. You can't dish out the damage as fast. So, anyways, let's do a map showcase first. Uh, okay, these are the mods. There are a lot of mods that this particular build cannot run. It can run, but it's not smooth, and I don't recommend you to. I wouldn't play it. Okay, and so if you want that REGEX, I'll put it in the description as well. Uh, yeah, you can play. Oh, so it can't do this delirium. I'm not gonna do it. Okay, it's annoying. Okay, so if you don't, if you decide not to, if you're okay with not doing delirium, this is the reason why people are interested in this build. Now, when I'm doing this map showcase, when I hit white mobs, I left click, and when I hit yellow mobs, I right click. Because of the, later I'll explain. There's an in order to single target, you need to use your weapon swap. So this responsiveness when you're mapping is the reason why I chose. So I'm right clicking. The responsiveness is the reason why I chose Mace Strike. You know, I don't want to wind up and and attack while I'm mapping. You know, mapping is meant to be a smooth activity. It's meant to be, you're meant to cruise. Okay, I don't want to jump here and then jump here. You know, this is not what I want to do. So that's why I chose Mace Strike. So I'm not gonna do all the mechanics because this is a map showcase. I don't want to waste your time. Let's just quickly look for the map boss, which I hope I find very fast. So obviously, if you're selective with the if you're selective with the map mods and the mechanics, you'll have a good time in mapping. And honestly, this is the reason why I wanted to make this video. Okay, we're at the boss. So map boss, I am gonna right click. Okay, I'm gonna right click, and this is what we do. This is all we do. And then when you see the boss doing some strong attack, you just use Jade. And then, you know, he's stunned, so you use your Hammer of the Gods. It's not great, but it's something. And you just keep right clicking until the boss is eventually dead. Okay. That's it. That's all you do. You know, no combos, no nothing. This is what I wanted to achieve. And you can see that my movement speed modifier is 34%. Okay. And so it'll be faster when I kill things. It's 43% because there's a node on the map. There's a node on the passive tree whereby when you kill things, see when you come to a yellow, you just right click. You don't bang, and then you gotta bang. You know, this is very slow in my opinion. Respectfully, okay. There are other people who made this build on YouTube, and they try to tell you that it's fast, but you know, it's slow. Okay, this is the one time I will use Leaf Slam to go over terrain. Okay, and I particularly have a problem with this because when you look at Blink, which is the travel scale for, you know, high spirit users, it's much faster. You know, we want this kind of responsive gameplay, and we want this kind of clear as well. So, anyways, I think you get it. That was the map showcase. Okay, now I will do another map showcase in the end because I've shown the bosses. Now I want to show you what is the difference between this and the other versions, which is the Leap Slam version or the Nebulok version, which is also great. You know, if you want to do all content using this build, I recommend um, those versions. And I think the latest one is Carnarius' version, which is good in my opinion. I think that particular, I'll put a link in the description. I think that you can watch that video if you want to do all content with this build. But if you want to map, you're okay with not doing pinnacle boss. You know, you get selective with your, you know, these are all REGEX maps. Okay, I already filtered it all. I have a REGEX here. You see. Then if you're okay with doing this and checking mods so that, you know, you're selective with the maps, and you just do maps, then this is great. Okay, and so let's start with the gear. I'm not gonna go over the mechanics of Herald of Ice because all the videos, there are plenty of videos for this build, and all the videos talk about the Herald. You hit and you do cold damage. Cold damage gets chills, and this ring makes the chilled enemy die to shatter. The shatter explodes with Herald of Ice, and because of your ascendancy as a Warbringer, you break armor. When you break armor, because of armor explosion, it explodes, and when the explosion breaks armor, procs Herald of Ice again, and that chain reaction is what creates that that big explosion. Okay, I'll do another map showcase at the end. So what's different? Well, in order to be fast, we have this weapon swap. When we look at the tree, and by the way, this build is only possible because I think because of Deepest Tower. You know, if this helmet was not in the game right now, and if low life nodes were not strong, like 120%, I think someone did the math. It's like 400% more damage just by using low life. I mean, it's crazy, you know. And so this is why it's possible. So what we do is in this fast version is that, and I just want to show again the attack speed. This is weapon swap 1. Now weapon swap 2 is slightly slower because my weapon swap 1 has a attack speed, but my weapon swap 2 does not. Okay, and if you want to find a mace with high DPS attack speed, that's like 300 divines, I think. And if it's got reduced attribute requirement as well, it's like a mirror. And I'm not gonna put a mirror in this build. So when we're doing weapon swap 1, we're mapping. Okay. And when we map, it's very important to have cold damage on your weapon. Okay. Some people say you can just use cold infusion. It's not enough. It's not enough because some maps the mobs have higher elemental resistance. So you really need as much cold damage as possible. So you get cold damage from your mace. Okay. Doesn't need to be super high damage because you're just doing map. And then you get cold pen to ensure that you can deal enough cold damage. And you I take blasphemy. And you put hypothermia on it so that enemies around you get negative 27% cold res. Okay, you can you normally people take berserk, but in mapping you don't. It's more important to chill the enemy than to do more damage in mapping. Okay, because if you really need the damage, you will weapon swap to weapon uh weapon 2 and you single target. Okay, I'll talk about that later. Okay. So apologies, I'm a bit everywhere, but there are quite a few moving parts. So weapon swap 1, which is a red color, you go for all area of effect nodes. So there's a cluster here, there's a cluster here, there's a cluster here, and there's one here. Okay. There's another one here, but it's too far away. We don't have enough weapon swap points to get there. So these are the clusters for weapon swap 1. And we do this because when we're mapping, we are willing to give up damage for AoE. Because monsters, white mobs, blue mobs, die, they have less HP. So you don't need to do as much damage to clear the maps. So that's why in weapon swap 1, you go for area of effect. These area of effects. Okay. Now in weapon swap 2, when you're at the boss or you're doing single target for yellow mobs, you don't need AoE. What you need is more damage. And all these nodes, which has area of effect, becomes useless. They don't do anything for you for bossing, for the map boss or for rare mobs. So what you do is you in your weapon swap 2, you put in damage, and this cluster here is a big damage cluster, and there's some here, and there's another one here, okay, and for the purpose of the video here, okay, here, okay, and there's some here as well, okay. Now, when you weapon swap in this particular build, almost because we're using Warbringer, at the moment, because Warbringer has this really OP defense mech turtle charm, whereby you can block all damage with block. This is like acrobatics, but block. The acrobatics lets you evade all hits. This turtle charm makes you block all hits, but block. Okay. And if you use Asvalin with plus 3% max block, you get 90% chance to block. Okay, and that's absolutely that's what makes the build. That's why people choose Warbringer, because it solves your survivability issue. So when I weapon swap, I'm not using Asvalin because I need to get more strength here to be able to hold my mace. And again, we can get a mace with reduced attribute requirement, but that's gonna cost you 300 divines. If you want reduced attribute requirement and attack speed, that's a mirror, and we don't want to, you got 300 divines or a mirror, you can build another, it's up to you. You can do it if you want, but that's an option. Okay, so if you can do that, if you can manage to get enough strength to hold your mace, then uh, you can put another Svalin here to ensure that you get uh, more block chance. Okay, and that's why if I don't spec into these nodes, then I won't have 75%. You know, you see it's 74. So okay, so we do that. Okay, so those are pretty much the weapon swap 2 nodes that you take. Okay, all right. So that's the major difference. Okay, if you do the Nebulox setup, you need to take crit and you start spreading yourself. Then I mean, I'm not interested in that. For this, I mean, we must be clear here. My objective was was speed, and I sacrificed pinnacle bossing. Okay, so that we can have speed and mapping. Okay, now in weapon swap 1, we also have these nodes here. The first is AoE. The second is these nodes: movement speed, and movement speed. And this comes to my second point, which is if we wanted to get more damage or survivability, we would reallocate these points to get something else. You can go here and get more damage here. Maybe you can get more rage. There are many options to get more damage, but there are very few options to get more movement speed. And so I wanted to move around faster. Okay, I want a smooth gameplay. When you just if we this movement speed is so huge when I took out my boots, but it makes a big difference. And so how do we increase movement speed as much as we can? Well, what we did was in armor, normally you will use like an ornate plate, something like this. Okay, this is probably a better option for survivability, but we want to move faster. So I opted for this. Okay, ignore this. I just happen to have gotten one with this mod. But you want something. Well, for me, this is what I decided. This is not the best way to do it, but what I decided was I want to move faster, so I got this movement speed on my armor, and on my amulet I anointed acceleration, which gives you more movement speed and more skill speed. Okay, so it makes your attack speed faster. Okay, if you see here, just to be clear, skill speed is attack speed, cast speed, all these kinds of things. Okay, so I get another 3% movement speed here. And on my tree, I have these nodes for mapping. Okay, when you're bossing, you don't need movement speed, right? But when you're mapping, you get these nodes here. And that is pretty much the difference when it comes to the versions that I've seen and my version. So just to be clear, I'm not saying that this version is better. In fact, I think the best version, the latest version so far, is Carnarius's version, where you leap slam and you use Nebulock. But I don't like leap slam. I think it's slow. I think it's clunky. Why play warrior if you don't like slow, you don't like clunky? Because they have this node here. Because it's tanky. So how do we become tanky and fast at the same time and clear? Well, this is the best I could have come up with. Okay? Thank you for let me quickly show you my jewels. I happen to have this jewel, a megalomaniac, which give me block and damage. If you don't have a jewel which gives you block, you can get a block jewel, and get more block nodes here. Okay, you'll have to sacrifice damage, and this jewel here, which gives me more stats. Okay, because you take these two clusters, that's 6% more strength and int, and I take this here, so that's total 10%. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll show you the my my skill setup, I guess, because it's different to the leap slam. So I put Orb of Storm because when you'll be blocking all the time when you met later when I do another showcase. You will block all the time. This will proc almost all the time, and you will get rage and you will get HP regen. Now for weapon swap 1, for this one, when we're mapping, so when we're going around, we whack, whack, very responsive, or as responsive as it can be, If GGG, improved the single target, I think, maybe we get some melee strike range. It will be great. So on weapon swap 1, we want to make sure we get as much cold damage as possible. So I really recommend you have cold damage on your mace. Don't, if other people say you don't need it, I've tried it. It really sucks. So you want cold damage on your mace. You get cold infusion to get more cold damage, and you want to ensure you hit the minimum threshold to chill. Just for reference, chill is an ailment, okay? And it says here, low damage hits may still fail to chill, meaning just because you do cold damage, that doesn't mean it guarantees a chill. You need to do a minimum threshold, okay? And so if enemies have elemental resistance, that threshold becomes higher. And so you want to make sure you do as much cold damage as possible. So this is how I try to achieve that. You now you get close combat because all your damage supports are on your weapon swap 2, which is bossing, okay? And so you have leftovers. So you put your damage here. Uh, you can call rares. Sometimes your rares are, you know what that is. All of you are smart, and you get rage when you go around. So you get more rage as you uh, as you go around and you map. Okay. Now weapon swap 2, you get your standard low life setup. Okay, this is the standard low life setup right now with Deepest Tower. And you try to a conk effect also is a very standard, and you want to have as much attack speed as possible on your weapon swap. If you get attack speed on your on a +7 minimum 700 DPS mace with attack speed, I think it's 300 divines. Okay, if you can get that will be good. That's 300 divines, so it's up to you. Okay. Uh, Now this is all it's not like super necessary. It's just something to put inside for in case shade. Again, this is just in case I need to move around, not important. For Herald device also, it's pretty standard. This is very standard. Hammer of the Gods. I have Hammer of the Gods here, and it's not great, but it's something. When you're bossing, you can use it, so it's something, and so it's there. When you use your Mace Strike, you will stun the boss quite frequently. What I mean is it's easy to stun. So when you stun the boss, you will get the glory to use Hammer of the Gods once, and these are all standard Hammer of the Gods supports. Again, you see DPS is not great, but it's something, and you can kill the boss a bit faster. Map boss. Okay. So when you're mapping, people put Berserk or Armor Scraps. I chose Blasphemy because we want to have the smoothest mapping experience as possible. And if we happen to come across a map where it has this mod, monster elemental resistances, okay, that means it's that much harder to chill your enemy. And if it's harder to chill your enemy, it's harder to shatter them. And if it's harder to shatter them, your your main clear is not gonna proc, and that is a brick. For me, that's a brick. Okay, so that's why we go. I chose blasphemy with hypothermia to ensure that uh, we chill the enemy. If you have a regex where you're not gonna run any maps where monsters have more more resistance, okay, then what you do is uh, you use berserk instead for more damage. Okay, it's up to you. Okay, now for weapon swap, you don't need blasphemy. You don't need all this cold damage anymore. You're not doing any cold damage. Okay, what you want is physical single target, as much damage as possible, and so then you will use berserk. Okay, use berserk. Berserk is very good, actually, and so you will use berserk, and you will use attrition. This is a weird spirit gem. I don't like it, but it's there, so we use it. You get 1% more hit damage every 2 seconds. It's a weird spirit gem, but I mean, it's there. It's more damage, and so I just use this. I try to eke out as much damage as I can for the single target, and it's Mace Strike again. Okay, and that is pretty much the gem setup. Okay, so if you've watched up to here, thank you for watching. I'll put the POV and the timestamps as well for ease of reference. I'll also link all the links of all the people I got inspiration from, all the content creators. They're all great. And let's do this one. Okay. And I'll finish off with another showcase. This is another boss right here. So, oh man. Okay, so we're not gonna do delirium. We're right clicking. Oh, I almost died there. Don't know why that's so tough. Oh, does it have chilled ground or something? Oh, it does. Okay. Anyways, we'll try to do this as fast as possible. Okay, I just wanted to show you the single target. Here we go. See? You can just kill like that. So I'm gonna ignore all this. I'll just try to look for the map boss. I'll try to, I won't clear all the. I mean, if people might wondering, yeah. So you can just kill the bots, the mobs as such. Yeah, that right there is. This is the reason why you will want to play this build. And it's very unfortunate that I need to go to this length to achieve something like this, whereas the lightning spear guys, they can achieve this really easily, So you see when I'm doing rares like this rare here, I'm right clicking. Okay. So hopefully I can look for this boss. This is the this. You see, another problem with melee is that some of the boss hitboxes are not on the edge, and so sometimes you literally can't reach them because your melee strike range is too short. Yeah. So that's another thing that's bad about this. But you do why again, why are we interested in this build, in this concept? Because of the AoE that I am able to achieve, the potential. Okay, and so I will definitely revisit this build in point 3. You know, when there are major balance updates. Okay, so when you see the almost died. Okay, and so you see that, you see what I mean? I can't reach the boss. Okay, here I can. Oh, okay, so we use Jade. Yeah, this is a terrible boss for this showcase, but you know, if you have an issue with if you have an issue with the strike range, I guess you can take notes, but this is a terrible boss because you can't. You see, I can't hit again because of the hitbox of the boss. Okay. Okay, so that's the boss. I just want to show you a few more of the reason why we're interested for this. Oh, for this. Yeah. Okay, this is why. Okay, so we have some mobs here. Yeah. Yeah, that you see that clear there? Yeah, again, it's very unfortunate that I need to go. Wow, look at that. That was a good one. Yeah. You know, the lightning spear people are probably saying like, you know, we play like that all the time. I don't know what game you're playing. Okay. So I think you guys got it. Let me know if you have any more if you have any advice, anything I can improve to help me achieve my objective. But I'm not gonna invest any more currency into this build because I feel like it's not gonna make a big difference, you know. So that's my mace, just to show you. Okay, that's it. Thanks, guys.